welcome back to Halfmoon Aquatics. This video is going to be all about betta fish sororities. So recently I actually got a new tank and set it up and decided that I wanted to do a betta fish sorority, so I thought it'd be the perfect time to make a video about what types of things you need to know about betta fish sororities before you do them and just all the information about them. So let's get started. So the first thing that I would say about betta fish sororities is that they are really not easy. So you need to make sure that you are doing your research before you try it. You need to watch videos like this so that you can hear other people's experiences and what they say about it. Look it up online, see what you can find there. Don't just jump into it not knowing, because that can be catastrophic. So you're here though, doing your research. So we're going to go over first all of the things about the tank that you need to have. So the first thing is tank size. So for a betta fish sorority, 10 gallons and up is usually what you would want. Don't go any lower than 10 gallons, so 10 gallons is definitely the minimum. Obviously anything bigger than that is better. Bigger is always better, because the bigger your tank is, the more fish you can have, the more room the fish have. Just always bigger is better, but 10 gallons is the minimum. Don't try to do a betta fish sorority in like a 5-gallon tank. It's just not going to work well, because betta fish are super territorial and they won't have enough space to be able to get away from each other or go hide. So you need to make sure you're sticking to that 10-gallon minimum. So another thing that is important is that you need to make sure your water parameters are where they need to be. And what I mean by that is that the levels in the water need to be safe for your fish. So don't just go out and start an aquarium and then the next week get a bunch of fish and add them in. You need to make sure that the water is safe for them. And that means the ammonia needs to be at 0, the nitrites need to be at 0, the pH needs to be around 7.0. So you just need to make sure that all your water parameters are where they need to be. And you can check this by getting a test kit for your aquarium. I have an API master test kit for freshwater aquariums, and you can just use that and it will test all the things you need to know. So you just need to make sure that your water parameters are where they need to be. If they're not, they're just going to add stress to your fish, or could be really toxic to your fish and cause fish deaths. So just make sure they're where they're at. Another thing about the tanks that you need to make sure you have is a heavily planted tank. Betta fish are very territorial and they like to hide. They don't like to be around each other all the time. They're not a schooling fish. You need to make sure that you have many plants in your tank and rocks, just all kinds of little places for them to hide so that they can get away from each other and have alone time. That way it will decrease how much they're fighting, or they shouldn't be fighting at all, but it will decrease the stress for them. So moving on from all the specifications of the tank, as far as getting your fish, you need to make sure that you're starting your betta fish sorority off with 4 to 5 fish, at least. Obviously more is better, but no less than 4 fish. If you have less than 4 fish, they will have a problem establishing their hierarchy and they will all just fight. But if you have 4 to 5 or more, they will have an easier time establishing who's the top, who's the bottom, and it will just be a lot more peaceful that way. So no less than 4 fish. And you can put different types of fish in your betta fish sorority. Like my betta sorority is not strictly a sorority, it's also a community tank. I have some neon tetras in there and a pleco and a snail. So you can put other things in with them, and we'll go over the types of fish that you can put in with them a little bit later. But definitely make sure that you're starting out with the right amount of betta fish. And just a tip, when you're picking out betta fish at the store, try putting them together. Try picking out your fish, making sure they're similar size. Sometimes similar, like if you can see that they're similar color and maybe think they might be from like the same parents, that might decrease fighting. Just trying them out. You can also put the cups all together and see their aggression levels. So put them together where they can see each other and see if they are really aggressive towards each other. That will help you to know if you are picking out a really aggressive fish, because you don't want a super aggressive fish. And as far as that goes, another thing you need to make sure you're doing is when you're starting out a betta fish sorority, you need to make sure you have some backup tanks or just a backup plan just in case you do have a fish that's super aggressive. It's not like insanely common, but it definitely is common enough that you need to make sure you have a backup, because sometimes when you put a group of female bettas together, there will be one or two that are just way too aggressive to live in a betta fish sorority. They're just going to pick on them, and no matter how long you try to let them establish their hierarchy, they're just going to pick on them. In my experience, I actually have had that happen. I had to remove 2 fish that just could not live in the sorority. They were too aggressive, and I had to remove them. So always make sure you have a plan B just in case that does happen, and it could happen. So be aware of that. My betta sorority is a community tank with other types of fish in it as well. So other types of fish that you can have in betta sororities is usually like schooling fish and very peaceful fish. So some examples are harlequin rasporas, neon tetras, corridoras. You can have snails in there, plecos. In my tank I have some neon tetras, pleco, and a snail. So you can definitely keep other things with them. Just research all the different types of tank mates you can have. Don't keep, obviously, like male bettas with them. You can't have that. Aggressive fish are a no, because bettas are really aggressive. So if you put 2 aggressive types together, you're going to have a serious problem. So it's usually just the more peaceful schooling fish. So just make sure you're keeping it to that, and make sure you do research on it before you put them in. You need to look it up and make sure you know that, oh, this type of fish can go in the betta sorority. So make sure you're looking it up. Betta fish sororities are definitely very rewarding. I do recommend, but definitely, like I said, do your research, because they're not easy. There can be lots of problems, so you need to make sure you know what you're doing before you just go ahead and do it. And there's my pleco right there. He's super cute. So yeah, there's my betta fish / community tank. So that's all. That's just the basic overview of betta fish sororities. If you have more specific questions for me, definitely put your questions in the comment box below, and I will definitely answer those for you if you have some more specific questions to ask me. So thanks for watching this video. If you like videos like this and want to see more from Halfmoon Aquatics, definitely hit subscribe below. That'd be really helpful. And have a good day.